Hello everyone, I'm excited to be presenting on this topic. This seems to be a full house. There's plenty of material to cover. Just to quickly introduce myself, I've spent about over 15 years working with a variety of B2B organizations in consulting, legal, high-tech, and financial services, really helping them get the most out of their digital marketing investment. Just to kick off the presentation, the importance of your corporate website cannot be overstated. It is the window to your world. It is really the first impression quite often, and quite often could be the last, that you give to your prospects and clients. Your buyers are using this as a tool to actually assess you. Quite often, before they even engage with you as an organization, they have an opportunity to look at content, assess you as an organization before actually moving forward. And marketers find that marketers in B2B organizations generally find that the company website, the corporate website, is the #1 marketing tactic to engage clients through their journey. So the challenges faced by consulting firms are quite a few when it comes to actually engaging clients and actually creating effective experiences online. First of all, it's quite difficult to differentiate in a crowded marketplace. Many consulting firms and clients that we speak to have issues in terms of really differentiating themselves from others in the marketplace. And everyone is trying to become the trusted advisor, but the issue is quite often you only get that opportunity when you actually engage with the client. And becoming a thought leader is not easy. It is not easy to create the enormous amount of content that's required, the resources that are required to really contribute to engagement. And quite often, all of this, while you're executing on it, the issue quite often comes, do you really have measurements to show if you're successful or not? So how do you differentiate yourself and engage your prospects in a crowded marketplace? Before I move forward, I'd like to run a quick poll, and it would actually inform the upcoming aspect of your of the conversation. Can you please run the poll? So you will see a poll appear. Go ahead and answer a question. All right, the poll is still running. There's quite a few of you, so we're getting the answers then. Excellent. So it's interesting. Many of you agree, but somewhat agree, that your websites are effective enough to actually influence the buyer through the purchase journey. And most of you feel that you're doing an average job when it comes to actually engaging the buyer and influencing the buyer's decisions during the journey. And I think that's what it's all about. There's this huge focus towards lead generation. We tell our clients, instead of focusing on lead generation, consulting firms should really focus on engagement, on nurturing opportunities and clients that come their way, that engage with them, to really influence the buying decision. Generating leads and targeting them was perhaps what firms used to do a few years ago, when they were really driving towards what we called informational marketing, where content was essentially sent out with very little measurement and engagement. It was a spray and pray approach. Part of it worked, part of it didn't work. There was very little measurement to tell you what was working or what was not working. And most firms we still find are sort of in this world of informational marketing. Sure, you have thought leadership and content that you're posting, but it's very much spray and pray. And where we ask our clients to move to now when it comes to digital marketing is really digital client engagement, where your thought leadership engages the client. It's personal and contextual, where experiences are multi-device. Clients feel as if they're being engaged in a one-to-one manner. And really there's this focus on measurement and ROI. So moving from informational marketing to client engagement is where firms will start to see more ROI in their digital marketing efforts. So where does this all start? It starts by first understanding the client needs and context. And what we see is that there's a new client out there. This new client is better informed. The client starts the buying process quite often, has many options, and decides where to engage and when to engage. So channels may not be, quite often I get asked the question, where should we invest? Should we be working our dollars towards social media or not? The answer is simple. You have to go where the clients are. In the new world, we're in the age of the customer, and the client is where we need to be. So as this client is better informed, they typically have three questions. Do you know my business? How do you solve similar problems? And can I work with you? These are three typical questions any client would ask of a consulting firm as they try to assess, should they be working with you? So if you think about how to engage this client in a new world, we really ask our clients really think about creating this halo effect where across channels, whether it's your website, social community, email marketing, mobile, you engage the client in a seamless manner and you get insight, a single view of the customer across each one of these channels. And I think that's when you start to really engage the client in a meaningful manner throughout their buying journey. So what we used to see earlier was these websites which were out there that did not really engage the clients, did not really create a halo. They were all about the functionalities. Can we have better search? Can we have, can we make the website perhaps better better from a user experience standpoint? Can we get SEO? All those things are important, but they really do not drive client engagement. One of the things I would ask you to do is to see how many return visitors do your websites get. And quite often that gives us the answer of, are you really engaging your prospects and clients through your digital marketing? And quite often the numbers are so low, and the question gets asked, we invested, enormous amount of money in building a new website and getting all the latest capabilities and the content management system, etc. But you're not really driving engagement with them. All you're doing is providing functional capabilities. Where organizations need to move towards is what we call engagement, client engagement, where the focus is really to position thought leadership content and personalize that experience and create that closed-loop marketing ecosystem, which is measured to really ensure that the buyer, as they go through their buying journey, they get the information they need, the right message at the right time, now on the right device, and actually you influence that buyer behavior. So going from a functional experience to what we call an engaging experience is where most of our clients are trying to think about how do we move from being functional and getting content and information out there to really having meaningful engagement with their clients. So we're seeing the some consulting firms already starting to move down that path to a limited extent. So we see the likes of McKinsey have great content and thought leadership, and they lead with that. The likes of Accenture have, again, enormous amount of content and thought leadership that's being produced and positioned on the website and being driven through demand generation programs. So the journey has started for many consulting firms. And I think this is just the beginning, because right now it's still a little bit about getting information out and hoping that some of it sticks. But if you can really make it contextual and make it relevant, you can start to actually engage clients in a more meaningful manner. So how do you, in a world where you are competing with, in a crowded marketplace where you're trying to engage clients, how do you create a website that actually engages the clients and actually drives conversion? We feel that if you were to take a 6-step process, you would make significant headway in accomplishing that goal. You need to start by thinking about who your buyer is and really creating a contextual experience around the buyer. Your content marketing needs to be targeted towards that buying life cycle and that contextual experience. The experience itself needs to be engaging across devices, across channels. The website should drive conversion, should create opportunities for the firm. And instead of really thinking about the old school of, well, how many people visit our website and, what kind of hits are we getting, you really need to think about how do you measure engagement? How do you measure engagement on a
per opportunity basis, and then how do you pass that on to your sales and business development organizations, really work on those opportunities. And then you need to think about the right technology that can actually drive that engagement. So those are the 6 steps that we ask clients to think about when it comes to truly creating an engaging website. Let's start by talking about the buying life cycle. So typically, through the purchase journey of selecting a consulting from a buyer, goes through a process of actually recognizing that they have the need, start to look for information, they start to evaluate alternatives, and they start to engage with the firm. So through this process, they touch your digital assets, can speak to your sales team or business development team, and engage through this process, and ultimately they make a decision to either work with you or not work with you. So as a firm, you really need to understand who are these segments that are coming to your website. What are they doing? What is the criteria moving from need recognition all the way to making a decision? And then what is it that would actually make them move from one stage to another through the buying journey? So once you start to think in terms of who the buyer is, what segments come to your website, what criteria leads to one stage to another, you start to really get an understanding of what context you will be speaking to when you drive an effective experience. And ultimately, that context is what drives engagement. If you were to get the right message to the right person at the right time, you will find that it creates an engaging experience. The data supports it. We've seen a tremendous amount of data that suggests that prospects, if they find content which is relevant to them, they will find it more engaging. So the experience should not be as if someone's coming to your website with a shovel trying to find information. You really need to understand what is their context and deliver an engaging experience. And the way you can do that is you can collect visitor-generated content. You could actually track what we call the digital footprint. You could actually gather information if they supply it to you through lead forms and other capabilities. Or you could also start to look up information through data providers such as Demandbase. In real time, can provide you information on the industry, size of the organization, geography, location, etc. So this can start to really help you build that context that you can start to create an experience around when it comes to your website. So here's an example of one of our clients, and they're a product and consulting firm. So if anyone navigates to their website and touches different pages on the site, perhaps one of the pages within the site is for a particular product and a service. The next time they visit the site, on the home page itself, we provide information which is relevant to that last experience. Our context tells us they're interested in a particular type of service, and then we position that through their journey. Again, it is all about tracking that context, the digital footprint, and targeting that with relevant information. So consulting firms can start to track that digital footprint and segment users. They can start to look up data on the industry, location from external systems. And you can start to actually segment those buyers into not only different segments, but different stages in the buying life cycle. There's technology that allows you to do that. And once you do that, you can easily, through a market-leading content management system, target a buyer in real time with case studies. So visit your homepage of your website. You can have real estate, which is targeted real estate or experience-based real estate, and you can position case studies which are relevant to their industry. You could have industry information right on the homepage, perhaps in the banner. If you have clients in financial services, and if there's a financial services buyer visiting your website, your imagery content can be targeted towards that buyer. And you can position thought leadership across the buying life cycle. So if you can track where the individual is in the buying life cycle, you can start to then position upfront more issue-related information versus later in the buying life cycle, perhaps insight around client testimonials and other elements that will help them support their buying decision. So you can use context to create an experience which really targets the buyer and gives them the right information at the right time to create that engaging experience. So we talked about the buying life cycle and contextual experience. So if you have context and you are targeting the buying life cycle, then it's about great content and really leveraging content marketing and thought leadership on your website to create that relevant experience. We find that consulting firms are starting to do a better job when it comes to client thought leadership marketing. But what we find where the failing really is when it comes to really generating inquiries or opportunities for the firm. And even if those opportunities are generated, they're not really passed on to the business development team in any way, shape, or form with insights that can help the business development team really engage with that buyer in a meaningful manner. Besides just lead information, there's no context around how they engaged with the firm, what type of content they were interested with, how engaged were they? Are they very engaged, or this is just an inquiry? So we end up seeing the struggle between marketing and sales in consulting firms where, you know, business development or practice leaders or the sales team generally says, you know, they don't get great opportunities or leads, whereas marketing feels that they're supplying them an enormous amount of leads. The issue really is there's very little measurement between what is the right opportunity to pass on to the sales team versus the leads that really need to be nurtured further so that they can be positioned at a later point. So thought leadership marketing is a vehicle that you can use to engage on your website through webinars, white papers, events, blogs. All of that content can be structured on your site to engage the buyer. Buyers are not really interested in your services per se. They're interested in expertise. They come looking for expertise. And that is best positioned through thought leadership position on your website. And this thought leadership needs to be findable. You need to be able to get to it. So thinking about SEO and how it impacts your thought leadership is quite important. Certain type of content needs to be gated. If it's premium content, we feel that it needs to be gated to drive leads, versus other type of content perhaps need not be gated. So depending on how premium you feel the content is, can be used to generate leads and opportunities. And when you generate these leads, you need a strong nurturing strategy to warm leads to relationships. So this is how you can start to leverage thought leadership content and start to create opportunities for your firm which are relevant. And when you start to think about content, the variety of content they can use, one of the areas where we're seeing a tremendous focus is really social content that gets shared, content that, you know, can have a viral effect. So infographics, video, blogs are examples of what we call social content. You won't find a lot of people sharing perhaps a large webinar, but they will share, you know, quick video, infographics, blogs. They won't share a long web page with a lot of, you know, content involved on your website. Really thinking about the right content and the purpose of that content will go a long way in helping you create engaging content on your website. The resource center where you store your thought leadership is critical. We recommend that consulting firms should consider what product companies such as Marketo, Eloqua, and the like do when it comes to really storing and then positioning thought leadership. We find consulting firms have an enormous amount of thought leadership, but if you were to look at your analytics as to how frequently that thought leadership is used or how it's really impacting the buyer's journey, I think we find quite often that it's not really delivering the results we need. So really having the thought leadership across the website, not only across the website, but in a resource center which is easy to navigate, easy to search through, is quite critical when it comes to thought leadership content. So social media is an area of intense discussion in consulting firms, and really how is it impacting the buyer? We're finding that more and more, that, you know, this is a statistic from 2012, but our opinion is most buying journeys today, up to 80 or 90%, are actually impacted by social media in one way, shape, or form. When we measure engagement of a buyer, you know, when they engage with the firm across the life cycle, we find that social media typically has some impact in that journey. So it cannot be overstated the importance of really social media. I think that the issue really is organizations understand the value, but the question really becomes, how do you use social media for content marketing? And that's really where organizations are spending time to really figure out on their website what should they do with social media and how should they integrate it to their site. So doing simple things, but start having visible social media buttons is important. But I think what's more important is where you position your social media links, etc. There's some pages where people are simply not going to share that information, but there's thought leadership content perhaps that they would be more willing to share. So engaging through social media and sharing your content and following you, whether it's on Twitter or on LinkedIn, can be driven through integrating social media tools on your website. So we talked about the buying life cycle and creating context. We talked about content and how it actually impacts engagement. Let's talk about engaging experience, an experience that really engages the buyer. So there's focus towards creating branding and design and information architecture that makes clean, nice-looking websites. I think the focus really needs to be on an engaging experience that is measurable. How can you, when you create new design for your site, how do you know that that experience would ultimately engage the buyer? How will it make it easy for them to find thought leadership? How will it be easy to read information? Will it align with your brand? So an engaging experience which is measurable is where consulting firms really just have to think about user experience, not just great design, but engaging design. And then typically this would involve looking at your typical things such as the sitemap, navigation, page structure, typology, and then ensuring that it aligns with what buyers are looking for. So looking at that buyer's journey, looking at the buying life cycle, how is it really impacting that buying journey? Do you have content in the navigation just for the sake of content, or do you have content in the navigation and pages that will really influence the buyer as they look for information? So starting with that buying journey starts to really help you think about what should go on the site and what should probably be left aside or even less a priority. The mobile experience is imperative. I think we're seeing a tremendous shift. We're all seeing the shift towards smartphones and really driving usage to the site. We're seeing that some sites, some of our clients' sites are getting more mobile users than regular desktop users. And that shift really needs to impact the way you approach sites. And we recommend a mobile-first strategy, a strategy where you're thinking about the mobile experience as much as perhaps the desktop experience, if not more. And the reasons are obvious. They're going to be, your website is going to be driven, it's going to be driving a lot of traffic through mobile devices, perhaps much more than desktops. If you're not prepared to really help your buyers consume content and information on your website, you would be losing opportunities. So one of the areas of focus has become responsive experience, and then there's many benefits of going down that path. And 8 times out of 10, it's not always a fit, but 80% of the time we find responsive experience for your corporate website is an ideal approach to actually position content information for the right device. And it helps you to easily maintain the website. It also future-proofs you. You know, if you're building just mobile-enabled sites, for example, you would, as new devices come up, new formats come up, you would have to create and test for those. Responsive is W3C compliant. It's a recommended format, so all devices would cater to that format. So it future-proofs you on your web journey, and you don't have to worry about devices coming out and actually impacting your experience and you actually having to test for it. Search is one of the more important capabilities on any consulting firm's website because it's just so much content, and getting to that content is not easy. And what we find is that quite often search gets used more than even navigating through the website. So having faceted search that allows users to get to the right information and allows them to drill further is quite important. Further, search capabilities need to be such that you optimize and continually fine-tune search, because you can surface up relevant information, you could position featured content, there's a variety of things you can do. Search is a huge area of opportunity for consulting firms, and we find most firms could do much better when it comes to actually structuring search on their website. I think one of the other areas of opportunity is really positioning your leaders. People are coming to your site, they want to know what's your expertise and who are they going to work with. Law firms do a great job in creating bio pages, whereas we find consulting firms, the bio pages, are perhaps not as well positioned, if you will, as you see with law firms, because that's where clients really go to their site, really looking for the right attorney. But we're finding when we speak to clients and we ask them, what is it that you look for in consulting partners? The people is quite often the list, and positioning your leaders the right way is quite important. It comes down to imagery, it comes down to the bio pages, it comes down to the thought leadership positioned on those bio pages. So really thinking about those bio pages is an opportunity that most law firms are doing a good job with. The consulting firms we find are perhaps lagging with. So if you have a great site, it is engaging, it has the right content, it really works. It needs to create opportunities, not just leads. And it starts with SEO. SEO is really important. They say that perception is a metric. So if you're positioned higher than your competitor, the buyer will think you are more of an expert in that area than your competitor. And the higher you rank, the more leads you will get, the more clients you will get. And consulting firms really need to, you can broadly do a lot of SEO, but industry and practice pages, optimizing them for the right traffic and the keywords is really important. Geo-targeting for international firms will improve providing the right content for those geographies. Also within the site, there's an enormous amount of content which is available. Improving the relationships between the content and attribution within the site to ensure that it's easy for content to be positioned on the site will allow search engines to actually ensure that that content is indexed and is searchable through search engines. And if you're driving the right traffic to the site, you need a strategy to really drive conversion around content, get people to actually become leads and opportunities. One of the areas where we feel there's tremendous opportunity, really merchandise your content. Consulting firms have great content, and quite often, we feel that a lesson could be learned from retail and how that content is merchandised. How is it positioned so that it looks like a significant asset which people would want to get and would be willing to give information to get that asset. So content really needs to be merchandised and positioned appropriately. Otherwise, it may not seem significant to the buyer. The content needs to be simple and persuasive. Your lead forms have to be as simple as possible. We see lead forms of 10, 20, 30 fields. You're going to lose opportunities if you have all that information. There's a whole notion of what we call progressive profiling, where you get the most minimal amount of information up front and the most amount of information behind it after you start to do email nurturing and so on. But up front, the idea is to get the lead and the information as quickly as possible. And what really drives conversion on your website? Having the right call to action, the page layouts, the offers and promotions, the copy on the page are elements that they say drive the most amount of engagement and conversion on the website. So once you're converting leads, we believe that not only just looking at analytics, who's visiting your website and how many pages are being visited, what's the most visited page list on your website. It's very important to really understand the leads that you're generating. What is called hot, and perhaps there are leads which it's too vague, you haven't contacted them at the right time. So the ability to be able to measure leads and measure engagement of an opportunity is critical. And you need really a lead scoring model where on one hand you want to assess if the prospect is a fit, and on the other hand you want to assess what the level of engagement and interest is. So if you have someone coming on your website and they're highly engaged but they're not a fit, and you take that lead and pass it over to business development, again, the feedback might be they're not the right, they're not the right opportunity. So if you have a strategy to measure prospect engagement and you can score it, and this can be simple to begin with, and you can optimize it over time, you will find that you're starting to then give out the right opportunities to your sales team versus other leads which are just essentially nurtured over time or not even sent. So leads which are perhaps, where the fit is not there, they will never be sent to the sales team. However, if the fit is there and they're just not engaged, perhaps they just need to be nurtured with a demand generation, email marketing campaign before they're sent forward. So all this insight ultimately needs to make it into the CRM. Your CRM, your website, and your marketing automation tools or email marketing tools really need to be tied tightly together, because the insight that you really want or your sales team really wants is what is that level of engagement, what is the buyer really interested in. And if you can drive that to your CRM, you're going to be enabling them to actually have a more meaningful conversation with the buyer. So how do you actually accomplish that through technology? Technologies that drive conversion, there's quite a few of them. The content management system, marketing automation, and CRM are three critical pieces of it. And all of this actually integrates into what we call the demand generation ecosystem. Across the buying lifecycle, as a buyer goes from awareness to learning more about you and justifying and validating the decision, making a purchase, that journey is actually being delivered through your website. Analytics is tracking the experience. Marketing automation is nurturing opportunities. The CRM is actually enabling the sales team to engage with the buyers. So these technologies need to be brought together and integrated if you were to be successful. And that's where we tell our clients, really consider what we call the trifecta, the engagement trifecta, where the website, CMS, CRM, and marketing automation tools give you a common context, a single view of the client, and help you measure that engagement and position your organization with against the buyer's journey with the right information at the right time, and then provide the sales team with the information they need to actually engage the buyer. So these tools are tightly integrated. You'll find that you'll not only drive conversion, but enable the sales team to actually focus on the right opportunities and close acquired clients. So that covers my presentation of 6 things that you should be thinking of when it comes to your website, and really start to think about moving from informational marketing to engagement marketing, to really think about how are you driving engagement on your website, what technologies are you using, are you personalizing the experience to the buyer, and are you measuring that engagement and actually measuring opportunities that need to be targeted and closed on, as opposed to just getting information out. So at this stage, I'll stop here and ask if there are any questions at this stage. Can we field the questions?
Yes, Rahul, we do have a lot of questions coming in. The first question is, what is the ideal CMS for a consulting firm?
Well, that's a great question. There is no ideal CMS. It really depends on what your needs are. Consulting firms, generally what you should be looking for in a CMS is the fact that the CMS should separate content from presentation. Consulting firms create a lot of content, and you need to be able to distribute that content on your website, through social channels, through email marketing, and you want, and again, on your website, the content gets repurposed in many different pages and sections on your website. So a CMS that enables you to actually separate content from presentation, if they're not tied together, so it's not page-based perhaps, will allow you to be more flexible. The second capability that you should consider is many of these content management systems are coming up with marketing suites. So these are suites that allow marketers to actually personalize the experience, to run rules which allow you to actually target different segments with different content and information. Next question.
Sure. The next question is, can you describe the CMS, marketing automation, and CRM benefits for a consulting firm?
Sure. So if you were to bring the 3 key capabilities that we feel are critical for marketers and consulting firms to be successful. So that's one is the content management system. Second is the marketing automation tool that drives your demand generation programs. And third is the CRM. But they all need to be tightly integrated. If they exist as islands of information and data, you won't be successful. If they're integrated, you'll get several benefits. One, they will give you a single view of the client across channels. So when your clients engage with your emails versus content on the website or mobile site or social content, you can actually track that engagement in a single view. And you can actually start to measure that engagement within the marketing automation tool and actually pass on that engagement into your CRM, which your sales team can then start to use to focus on which opportunities to prioritize on and move forward with.
Thank you, Rahul. The next question is, how can we integrate all digital channels for delivering uniform customer experiences?
Could you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Question is, how can we
repeat the question?
Sure. The question is, how can we integrate all digital channels for delivering uniform customer experiences?
So your customer experience is ultimately being delivered through email, your web channel, through your mobile experience, and your social experience. Again, going back to the trifecta, if you're connecting those technologies together, you'll find that it's very easy to engage across channels in a meaningful manner. And you can even extend that to offline channels. If someone attends an event, you can track what event they attended, and then pass on that information into your marketing automation tool, and then nurture them post-event with digital communication. So whether it's offline or online, at any customer touch point, you can engage with the buyer in a meaningful manner if your technologies are integrated.
Thank you. The next question is, what metrics should I look at when measuring engagement?
I think that's a great question, because there's this huge focus, and I think where we almost overdo this, focus looking at number of web pages being visited, and I'm not saying that that information is not important. It really is to impact the experience. But I think what's most important is how are you engaging with buyers on your website. So there's a variety of metrics you can consider. Going back to the model that I said, you should think about a lead scoring model. A lead scoring model will measure the fit of the client. So is it the right type of organization for you, and how engaged you are. So you can come up with a score, and it's a simple score around the fit and engagement, and actually you can track that. And you can do it through simple things such as if they open an email, they visit our website a few times, they consume a certain type of content, their score increases over time. Versus someone, you communicate with them, you send them email, but they never open anything they send you, their level of engagement is low. So you can create an engagement model based on a simple lead scoring model. And the score can then be an SLA between marketing and your business development team so that there's alignment. So the score of a high fit and a highly engaged prospect should be then handed over to the sales team to actually focus on. And if in an organization that is not a fit, perhaps they should not be handed over to the sales team. So not only would it allow you to assess how engaging your experience is, the lead scoring model, but it would also bring alignment between marketing and sales through SLAs. Any further questions?
Yeah, we do have a few questions, but I guess we'll have to get back to them after the webinar.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time. My contact information is presented here, or you can always reach out to us from our website or email me directly. I'll be happy to answer any questions or send you the material that I presented today. Again, thank you very much for your time, and hopefully you found this information helpful. Take care. Have a great day. Bye-bye.